Conan, what is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of your women. That is good.
Yeah, that's great advice. I love Conan, and that's 1982's Conan, not this guy from 2011. A young Conan became a slave after his parents are killed and tribe destroyed by a savage warlord. When he grew up, he freed himself and became a fearless, invincible fighter. In a fantasy battle, who could have beaten him?
This is Sparta!
In this corner, King Leonidas of Sparta. In 480 BC, at the Battle of Thermopylae, Leonidas led his badly outnumbered 300 warriors against the massive Persian army. The Greeks held back the enemy in one of the most famous last stands in history. Though certain death awaited the Spartans, their sacrifice inspired all of Greece to unite against their common enemy. It's King Leonidas versus Conan the Barbarian in Clash of the Movie Icons. Who would win?
Welcome to Clash of the Movie Icons, where today I pit Conan the Barbarian versus Leonidas of Sparta. I did it again. I picked two guys that are so evenly matched. This is going to be another battle that's going to be tough to break down. But without further ado, let me go on and do Clash of the Movie Icons. Don't forget to like and don't forget to subscribe. Here we go.
Sword in hand, mullet flailing in the wind, it's obvious Conan was a physical specimen. Leonidas, too, was a physical powerhouse, muscles popping out of everywhere. He was a guy not to be trifled with. Although described as a warrior, Conan was a master thief, and many of his quests needed good planning for breaking and entering. He's proven to be quite ingenious on infiltrating and trap setting that led him to ultimate success. Leonidas was a master tactician, establishing his army at the hot gates, knowing that the narrow pass would funnel the Persian army into smaller numbers towards his own force.
They both had the brawn and they both had the brains. Conan was surprisingly smart because he always had to infiltrate a place to get to where he wanted to thief. As far as Leonidas is concerned, hey, he held off a Persian army of 1 million with only 300 Spartans and a few Greeks by funneling them and forcing them to fight in smaller numbers into the hot gates. So this one here, it's a tough call.
All right, we'll call it a draw.
Conan's main weapon is a two-handed sword that he was skilled enough and strong enough to use as a one-handed sword, and he did so with grace. He was, after many years of rigorous training, to become a fierce gladiator, and this mountain of muscle, if needed to, could bash your head in with his bare hands. Conan the Barbarian. The spear was the main weapon of any Greek warrior, and once that was thrown or broken, a Spartan hoplite warrior used his secondary weapon, the short sword. A Spartan used their shield also, mainly for defense, but it did not prevent them from using it to bash their opponents. In one account, an Athenian asked a Spartan why his sword was so short, and after a pause he replied, "It is long enough to reach your heart."
Again, in this regard, these guys were so evenly matched. Although Leonidas had a few extra options with the spear and the short sword, Conan was just unbelievable with that huge two-handed broadsword. So, again, this is another tough call.
All right, we'll call it a draw.
I've seen Conan wear a helmet, but very little else. No shield, no armor. He liked flaunting his biceps while fighting. I like that about Conan. He employed the offense is a good defense strategy, and I have to say, it really worked well. The Spartan shield was heavy, weighing about 30 pounds, constructed out of wood with an outer layer of bronze. It was an important component to the phalanx, a defensive military formation where the army fought as a single impenetrable unit with their shield as the source of their strength.
In this third round where we talk about defense, I gotta tell you, I don't think Conan had too much in the defensive side of things. Using offense as defense is great, but he didn't wear a shield and he didn't wear armor. whereas Leonidas at least had that shield and then used it very, very effectively. So for this round on defense, the award goes to
Conan the Barbarian was a warrior who found love, passion, and a sense of purpose in his lover Valeria. King Leonidas, too, also had his queen and a son to succeed him. I have to take a minute here and point out something a little different about Conan. He was a bit of a to animals. He punched out a camel in a drunken stupor, and then, when confronted a second time by the beast, he struck again. Conan has even been known to punch the lights out of a horse with a single punch. I want to mention the Spartan phalanx again, where each Spartan protects the man from his left from thigh to neck with his shield. A single weak spot and the phalanx shatters. Conan had amazing allies, including his lover Valeria the warrior and Subadai the thief. Akiro the eccentric wizard also accompanied Conan, as well as Malek the thief and Zula the raider and woman warrior. Leonidas was king of Sparta and led the Greek army. In the case of the battle versus the Persians, he had 300 of the finest warriors and personal bodyguards by his side. I'm going to bring up another quirky point, but this time about Leonidas. Yes, he was the king, but I think he took orders from his wife. Look here. He looks back. She gives the slight nod of approval. He turns around, and now with renewed confidence, tells the Persian messenger what he thinks, kicking him down the well.
Well, it's good to see that nothing's changed in 2,000 years. Let me tell you something about getting the wife's permission on something, okay? What? What's that, honey? Yeah. Oh, nothing. Hold on a second. Okay, let's move on. So in my final thought, I put a couple of different things in there. I was a little bit all over the place, but felt I needed to include it to sort of see that little bit of an edge, because there has to be a winner here. In terms of allies, I would say they're pretty even in that area. Although Leonidas led many, he was a king. He had personal bodyguards that equal 300 plus an army behind him. But I would go here with quality and not quantity, because Conan, who was a bit of a loner type, being a barbarian and a Cimmerian, he had pretty awesome allies as well. So at the end of it all, I got a little bit of a wine glass here. Who am I going to tip the wine glass to and give the final victory? The victor goes to... So there you have it. Agree or disagree? Conan or Leonidas? I picked Leonidas by the slightest of margins, and it pains me to do it because I'm a huge, huge Conan fan. I love Conan the Barbarian. I love Conan the Destroyer. But that slight little edge has to go to Leonidas. So, Leonidas, how are you going to celebrate your victory tonight?
Spartans! Tonight we dine in hell!